So friend, we will start a new topic, that is helminthiasis. Can you see the screen?
No, sir.
Okay.
Now it's visible, sir.
Okay, fine. So the next topic is about helminthiasis. Basically, it is a worm infection. There are so many worms which are available in the environment, and they can cause the infection. In many books, you will find the word infestation instead of infection, because in pharmacology, at many places they use the word infestation whenever the this kind of parasites are there. Infection, they usually call it for only bacteria and virus type of small thing, but if it is a large one, then they call it as an infestation. So it does not make much difference. Only just to understand, the difference is infection is basically used for very small organisms, and infestation is used for the bigger organisms. So these are the macroparasitic, these are the diseases of the humans and other animals. The body is infected with the parasitic worms. They are called as helminths. There are variety of helminths. We shall see about them, and we shall see their classification also. They reach to the GIT and even can reach to other organs of the body, and this causes problems. It is usually soil transmitted, most of these, but that is, soil is contaminated with the feces, and feces of either humans or feces of the animals. And from soil, if somebody get that soil contaminated food or any other thing, then it can reach to human beings, and that makes a problem. It is one of the neglected topic diseases, because these are rare. They are not very big, profit making businesses, and in at least some of these, and therefore the drugs were not developed for that. And as a social drive, at many places these drugs are being formed. These drugs are actually marketed. This is particularly for, although they are having less market, because they are not very widespread as diabetes, tuberculosis, or viral or bacterial diseases. So their research and the production and the marketing is less, and therefore people find very big difficulty in that. Therefore they are categorized under neglected tropical diseases, because they are found in very typical places like underdeveloped countries like Africa and some of the part of India, and therefore this has to be marketed under that particular conditions, that as a social drive this company has to make it. So these are the various pharmaceutical companies and NGOs. They are making a project in 2012. Just a minute. Hello. चेक करावे लागेल सर मला. चेक करावे लागेल. हां, बस 1-2 महिन्याचाच फरक आहे. तेच नाही, ऑगस्टच असेल बहुतेक. असली तर मी शोधून मग पाठवतो तुम्हाला. ओके ओके. हां. So this is in London Declaration of Neglected Tropic Disease, and it was decided so that this type of disease is there. It has been found to make many impact on the society, that is poor birth outcome, that is death during childbirth. They will be increased if the females, pregnant female, are having these infestations. Poor cognitive development, these children who are delivered, they will have poor problem. Poor school and work performance, poor socio-economic development, and poverty. These are the hand in hand it is working. It results into chronic illness, malnutrition, anemia, and so many problems are there, and therefore one has to go for that. So let us go. What are these signs and symptoms will depend on what kind of parasite it is making. There are variety of parasites which we shall be seeing, and these parasites will have different type of impacts, and accordingly signs and symptom. Again, they will be infesting in different type of organs, and if they some of these can cross from one organ to other organ, and when they crosses, so depending on the severity, just like if you remember, we have seen various these protozoal diseases. So amoebic diseases, like if it is remaining in GIT, then we'll see only GIT symptoms, but if it spreads at other portions, then it will be having other, and same is the case with the fungal infections. If you know the latest example of mucormycosis, so accordingly the sign symptom will change, and on the basis of the invasion of the organ, the sign symptom will be changing. The site of infestation, what it is there, that will be there. Then what kind of worm is there, the number of worm, that is the, what is the, just like viral load word we use if in this corona period. Similarly, what is the load of that worm, that is number of worms, how much is the volume, whether what is the size of this worm, what kind of damage they are able to cause. As I told you, one if it is there remaining into one organ, then what damage to that organ. If it is more than one organ, then what will be the problem with the different organs, and accordingly what are the immunological response if it is goes to blood, and what will be there. The burden of parasite in the body is less. When they are very less, then the symptom will not be almost visible, and that will remain in the body for years. But as it grows, as it multiplies, and accordingly it will start showing sign symptoms. Certain one may cause particular constellations of the symptoms. Example, teniasis can lead to seizures because of the neurocystocercosis. Now this cystocercosis is one of the condition where the worms, they modify their activities, they modify their conditions, just like you see in certain animal hibernation type. So similarly they becomes like cyst like conditions, and they reach to certain places. If it reaches to brain and they form this neurocystocercosis, then they will cause seizures. So these are various problems which are found, which are there. And again, another thing is extreme cases of intestinal infestation. The mass and the volume of worm may cause the outer layer of the intestinal wall, like mucosal layer, to tear out. Okay, and that may lead to peritonitis, vulvitis, gangrene of the intestine, and that can be problem. This is some of the example we can see over here. The photographs are there. This is a very foot infestation which is there, that is called as a guinea worm infestation, or dracunculiasis. The worm will come out of the foot from the infected person. That is again very dangerous situation. One of the filariasis was again very prominent one, that was called as a elephant leg, that is hatipaga, hatipav, like that it was called in infect. Fortunately, because of the drugs availability, many of these are very rarely seen, but one of the time previously there were so many such type of diseases were known, and they were found. Then as I told you, if the mass is more, then it will be making a problem. Then immunological response, the Helminth or their eggs, or their destruction products, body parts, they can cause immune response, and because of that there can be immune mediated inflammatory changes that can occur in skin, it can occur in lung, liver, intestines, CNS, eyes. So depending on different type of Helminth will cause different kind of responses, and accordingly it can have eosinophilia, that is increase in the eosinophil count. It can be edema at one or other level, as I told you, hatipaga was one of that. Arthritis can be there, and these are various examples of immune response in because of the hypersensitivity reaction that may lead to anaphylaxis. Some will cause migration of ascaris through the bronchi of the lungs, and it will cause asthma. So like that, so many immunological response can be seen. Further, they will change the immune response. They will cause eosinophils, as I told you. These are the WBC type of WBC, and there will be increase in the T helper cells and gradually eosinophils. That will leads to encapsulation of the eggs which are there in the body, and the helminth will excreted into the intestine the toxic substances. This helminth will excrete the toxic substances into the intestine, and these substances will enter the circulatory and lymphatic system of the body and will cause various activities. They may cause increase in the susceptibility of that host into other infectious diseases like TB, HIV and malaria. And because of this, that becomes complications, that becomes a problem. And there is a conflicting information whether the deworming reduces the HIV progression or viral load or increases CD4 count or not, because some people say that in HIV people particularly who have become more susceptible for these HIV infections. So in that, if the deworming, these are the what we can say drives are there. Hello. हो एक क्लास घेतला की मी लगेच पाठव हो. So this will make it very clear, and accordingly these evidences are there, that evidences can be checked. In some people say that yes, it can improve the HIV condition. Some say that no, it may not make big difference. Already if HIV is there, then HIV will go at its own level. Another problem these will cause is chronic illness. They can cause severe morbidity. You know, morbidity means confined to bed for longer period, not able to work, not able to do the normal activities. This is what morbidity is, and that has been found to result in the poor birth outcome. We already seen cognitive development, poor school and work performance, decrease in the productivity, and all these activity it will shows. The biggest problem it is causing is a malnutrition. That is, it is a chronic illness, and it may cause decrease in the overall nutritional status of the body, decrease in all important carbohydrate, etc. It will cause things like deficiencies of vitamins, decrease in the growth, anemia, protein, energy, malnutritions. They will compete with the host for the food and nutrients, and they will take it, so that the host will not get sufficient minerals, nutrients, and accordingly it will be there. In pigs and human, this ascaris has been linked to the lactose intolerance and vitamin A, amino acid and fat malabsorption. There is an impairment in the nutrient uptake, and it may result from direct damage to the intestinal mucosal wall from more subtle changes like chemical imbalances, changes in the gut flora. So many things it will be causing. The worms can release some protease inhibitors against the body's digestive processes. So if these protease inhibitors are there, that will act on that, and thus it will affect the protein digestion, because this protease inhibitor, we have got so many protease enzymes like trypsin, chymotrypsin, pepsin, etc. So if this inhibitor will not allow digestion to happen, and thus there will be indigestion, there will be a problem in the digestion. Malnutrition can also give rise to anorexia. So they will not hungry. Not hungry means they will not eat properly. So malnutrition already is there. Simultaneously anorexia is there. Because of these two, food intake will reduce too much, and that will be problem. There are cases that after deworming drive, just like we have corona vaccination drive, tuberculosis drive, polio drive, similarly these type of drives were made when it was found in school children various signs, symptoms, and then the mass what we can say anthelmintic treatment was done, particularly in school children, and that was found to increase the appetite of the children. Some of the cytokine release in the immune response also linked to anorexia. They are causing anemia. Already we have seen the reasons, example like iron deficiency anemia, which is more severe in the hookworm infections like nectar americanus, then Ancylostoma duodenal. These are there which are directly feeding on the blood of the host. So because of the blood they are using, they are consuming as food, there is a decrease in the this blood counts, and that will affect the daily consumption of individual worm is very small, but if it is the load, we call it as a host, that is load of Helminth, if it is more, that is heavy infection, easily in small language, in easy language you can say, it can cause, then intestinal weakness may cause anemia because of reduction in the nutrient absorption, and therefore once anemia is there, then definitely oxygen carrying capacity will be reduced, and therefore there will be decrease in the stamina and physical labor, decrease in the physical activity stamina, and apart from that mental as well as other difficulties like apathy, irritability, fatigue, it will be there. So there are many such activities will be there, that has to be there, and iron supplement should be there after this deworming will be there. Then it can also affect the cognitive changes. We have seen that malabsorptions, fatigue, cognitive impairments, then the low IQs, etc. So more is the parasite burden, more is the problem, particularly with hookworm it is more, and it is associated with the absenteeism, under enrollment, and attrition. Attrition means the leaving, dropout from the school. These are the problems which are there. So these are some of the problems which are associated with the Helminth, and therefore the treatment is there and identification is required. There are many Helminths, and basically how they are causing, what is their source of contamination is the fecal matter which is coming to various, fecal matter comes to either soil or various food items or water, or getting mixed, the sewage and water and food gets this soil or food item gets mixed, or washing of vegetables suppose with sewage, etc. So there are various ways by which it can cause. So we can classify them, or we can say them, like example is soil transmitted Helminth like Ascaritis lumbricoides, which is the most common worldwide. Then the another is Trichuris trichuria, Necator americanus, Strongyloides stercoleiasis, and Cyclostoma duodenal. These are soil transmitted, and they are very common, they are the maximum one. Then other one are the Hymenolapis nana, Tinea saginata, Enterobius, Fasciola hepatica, it is particularly affecting liver. Then Cystosoma mansoni, Toxicora canis, Toxicora cutti, these are various there, and they are classified basically, if we have to study them, or drugs which are acting, then we call that drugs acting against filariasis. So basically we classify into one, that is roundworm, they are also called as a nematodes, and at the end when there is a infestation of this, we call it as a nematodiasis or cystodiasis. So how we make it, that is what are the names we are giving, we gave it as a filariasis. Filariasis is because of the Wucheria bancropti or Bruguiera malaria, these Bruguiera malai, so these are causing filariasis. Then onchocerciasis, that is Onchocerca volvulus, is the infestation or is the Helminth which is causing it. Then soil transmitted, we have already seen, these are Ascaris lumbricoid, Trichuris, that is called as a trichuriasis, Ascariasis, hookworm infection like nectariosis, encephalotosomasis, these are various there. Then trichostrongyliasis, that is because of the Trichostrongylus species. Then dracunaliasis, that is guinea worm infection. Then Baileus ascaris, this is the raccoon roundworm, and it is causing particularly in livestock and humans. Then tapeworm are there, that is these are echinococcosis, that is because of the echinococcus. Then Hymenolappiasis, Tiniasis or cysticercosis because of the tinea infections. Then coinurosis, that is because of the tinea multiceps, tinea cerealis, tinea glomerata, tinea browni, these are various infesting organism. Then trematode infestations, that is trematoiasis, that is amphistomasis, clono, clonorchiasis, fasciolasis, fasciolopsiasis, opisthoorchiasis, paragomniasis, then schistosomiasis. These are various infections and caused by various organisms. And lastly, we have this mononliformis infections. So these are various, there are such a big variety of these helminths which are causing, and accordingly we have various drugs which are having, just like broad spectrum, narrow spectrum, we have seen, we have got so many microorganisms which you classify under different heads, that is gram positive, gram negative, etc. So similarly here also we have got classification of these, and accordingly we have got so many agents which can be active against it. The agent which can acting against only typical one or other species, we will call it as a narrow spectrum. The agent which are acting against more than one type of species, we will call it as a broad spectrum. Now before that, let us see how they are transmitted. They are transmitted to the final host in several ways. That is, most is because of the ingestion of contaminated vegetable. I told you many people wash vegetable with the this sewage water. Then contamination of drinking water, many places the sewage and drinking water pipelines, they are infested together, they are there. Raw or uncooked meat, because many animals are infested, and because of this raw or uncooked meat, or undercooked meat, which has not able to kill the this helminths which was present in the that particular meat. It can cause, it is contaminated food may contain eggs of the nematode like Ascaris, Enterobius, Trichuris, etc., cystod like Tinea, etc. So all the eggs, they can go for various things. Raw undercooked meat are having major sources of Tinea. Example that is pork, beef, and venison type of meats are there. Then Trichinella is available from pork and deer. Then other one are, that is Diphyllobothrium, that is from fish. Clonorchis is from fish. Paragomnias is from various other animals like crustaceans. Then schistosomes nematodes like hookworms and Strangulodontis, they can penetrate skin directly. So even somebody is working in this kind of water and there is a wound, so from this wound they can get inserted. Okay. The Wucheria, Onchocerca, and Dracunculus are transmitted by mosquitoes and flies. In developing world, the use of contaminated water is a major risk, particularly those which are underdeveloped world, we call them as a developing worlds. Infection can also take place through the practice of geophagy, which is not uncommon. That is, soil is eaten. That is sub-Saharan Africa, which is very, very poor countries. They are by children or pregnant women, maybe because of the calcium deficiency. Many people go for this and like that. There are various ways how they can be diagnosed, either by microscopic examination of these or even direct observation of these, as we have seen in food. It is there. Some of these can be found in the fecal samples. The number of eggs, they are measured in the units of eggs per gram of that feces, and microbiological examinations can be done. It does not exactly quantify mixed infection, but it can at least give some ideas. There are sophisticated types like serological assays, antigen test, because once it goes into blood, there are chances that it will be appearing in blood, and they will be available. Then other molecular diagnosis kits are there. Basically, how you can prevent, that is, you check the water quality, and if not, then take reduction of open defecation. Particularly in India, those who are from villages, they may be knowing about it. Mostly city students might not have ever seen it, but those who have in villages, they might have seen that there is open defecation. People openly defecate, and that causes contamination of soil, because eggs can even transmitted with the air, and they will be deposited in the nearby soils. So these are there. The other measures are food hygienes, no undercooked food, and no improperly washed raw food, like that. Then it goes for the medications, that is the anthelmintic food agents, the agents which are the group of agents, the drugs which are antiparasitic, which will expel or will remove that either by killing or just by removing, by any way they will be removing without causing impact to the host. So they are called, we can classify, just like if you remember bactericidal and bacteriostatic. Similarly, we have got agents, we can call them as a vermifuge, which will paralyze the this type of worms, and the vermicides which will kill it. Basically these are two important, just like static and cidal we have got. They are used to treat people who are infected by various helminths, the condition which is called as helminthiasis. We have seen helminthiasis, what are various diagnostic features, what are their problems, and we have seen that what are various drugs which are used to treat various infected animals. In some places, as I told you, there is it becomes very very important to use the mass deworming campaigns of school age children. In many developing countries, the drug of choice for soil transmitted helminths are mebendazole and albendazole. Albendazole nowadays, mebendazole was the prototype, and now albendazole is almost it can be seen at many places, and it is what we can say a broad spectrum agent. It is useful for schistosomiasis and for broad spectrum. These are for schistosomiasis and tapeworm, praziquantel is used. So we have got a variety of drugs which see the classification of this. The antiparasite, they are specifically working against the work from the ascaris. They are called as ascaricides because they are killing these ascaris there. Example of the benzimidazoles, of that there are many agents like albendazole. As I told you, they are what? Broad spectrum, because they can effective against threadworm, roundworm, whipworm, tapeworm, hookworms. Mebendazole again same, because they are of same class. Thiabendazole, febendazole, triclabendazole, they are also effective against liver fluke, that is triclabendazole, and flubendazole, which is effective against most of the intestinal parasites. Then abamectin, which is analog of ivermectin. Ivermectin is very popular nowadays again as an antiviral for COVID. So this abamectin and ivermectin, they are effective against most common intestinal warts except tapeworm, for tapeworm praziquantel is commonly used, particularly in along with the mass dewormings. Then another one is diethyl carbamazine, or it was very commonly, I remember in my younger age, this was the most popular when mebendazole and these were not that widely available. Later they become, that was very popular drug. DEC, it was called as a diethyl carbamazine citrate, or DCC, diethyl carbamazine citrate. It is effective against Wucheria bancrofti, Bruguiera malaria, Bruguiera malai, and Bruguiera timori, and loa loa. So these are this is very effective, very good drug, and it is also having additional effect which we shall see when we shall study brief pharmacology of this. That is, it is very very effective against the eosinophilia, whatsoever cause it may be, but it can reduce the eosinophil count, and it is one of the very very important treatment for eosinophilia. Then most probably there are chances that eosinophilia may be because of these infestations. Then another drug is the parental palmoate, that is, it is effective against most nematodes infection which are residing within the intestine. Levamisole and its analog, actually tetramycin, these are the drugs. They are having very good activity against a variety of drugs. हाँ परेश सर, त्याची इंडियामध्येच आहे आणि त्याचं वर्क ॲक्च्युली आउटसाईड पण आहे. ते विचारावं लागेल, बहुतेक मुंबईलाच त्याच्या घरी ऑफिस आहे. हो, मुंबईच टाक. ओके ओके. त्याची ते ॲडेक्स लॅब तुम्ही नेटला सर्च केलं तर डिटेल येईल सर त्याचं. हां, त्याचं तो आली नाही त्याचं आपल्याला कुठल्या याच्याशी असोसिएटेड आहे ते आपण मागवलं होतं ते आहे त्याच्यामध्ये. है ना? ओके. हां हां. Then next drug is salinylate. That is, it is agent which is mitochondrial uncouplers, and they are used for only flatworm infections. Niclosamide, oxyclosanide, then nitaxonide, that is very good for the Ascaris lumbricoids, and it is also having antiprotozoal effects. Praziquantel is a drug which is effective against flatworm, as we have seen. Then octadepsipeptides, these are newer analogs which you will find nowadays, that these are the agents which are effective against variety of gastrointestinal helminths. Monepantel, these are the amino acetonitrile class, they are effective against variety of nematodes, including those which are resistant to the anthelmintic class. Then spiroin indoles, that is, or spiroindoles, example of derquantel, it is effective against variety of nematode, including those resistant to other helminthic class. And artemisinin you have seen in what? Malaria. So this is also showing some anthelmintic activity. Again, just like bacteria and fungi and viruses, resistance is also chance, and they will be forming resistance. It is very well now known, it is widespread, and it is the biggest threat for the sustainability of the modern livestock production, because worms are basically more grown in the worms, in the livestock, that is cattle and the sheep and goats, etc. So they result into decrease in the productivity, compromise in the animal health and welfare. And there are some places where very thorough check is done before the meat and such kind of production. So wherever these chances are there that there is this type of infestations are there, there is a chance of rejection of whole such batches and a very big loss to these companies. This increased greenhouse gases emission through increased parasitism and farm inputs, these are many impacts it is making. This greenhouse gas emissions, they are affecting the environment and ozone levels, and all these are the things which are there. So there are therefore chances, and how much is the prevalence of resistance, it was just study was made. So there is a resistance of benzimidazole to around 86%. Then macrocyclic lactones except moxidectin is around 52%, levamisole is 48%. Then lactones except moxidectin 52%, while moxidectin was new one which has got 21%. All GI nematodes, they have survived the treatment in various such studies. In cattle, prevalence of anthelmintic resistance was different. So similarly, when it is there in cattle, definitely it may be going to happen in human beings also, and therefore that becomes very important to have the treatment which has not caused the resistance. So here we finished the basic for anthelmintic studies. We'll go for the various anthelmintic drugs and their mechanism of action. Already we have seen their indications that in what condition they are used. We'll just have a brief description about it, and various agents, as I told you already, their effect on whether they are what we can say having a small spectrum or the broad spectrum, we already done it, and during this individual drug we shall see it also. So I hope you are getting this. Very few students were present anyway. Please go through this, and if you have any difficulty, please just let me know.